Around 2.4 million years ago, Homo Habilis, the first members of the genus Homo, appeared. The name Habilis means handy, because they are associated with the emergence of the first stone tools, the foundation of the Old Stone Age. Homo habilis lived under harsh survival pressures, where food was scarce and life was constantly threatened. Climate change created decisive, selective pressures. Only those groups that knew how to use tools and adapt to open environments had a chance to survive. Their hand structure had an opposable thumb, allowing better grip and manipulation. Though their bodies were still primitive, the combination of a developing brain and skillful hands laid the foundation for the cultural development of tools. The earliest stone tools were flaked from pebbles or flint. Crude as they were, their use of tools revealed a major intellectual leap. Homo habilis could visualize outcomes in advance, deliberately producing sharp flakes for specific purposes. This was a decisive difference from all previous ancestors. From the Oldowan flakes, the history of tools officially began. But tools were not just for use. They opened up a whole new way of learning. Survival depended not only on instinct, but also on experience passed down. Older individuals not only demonstrated, but also deliberately guided the young with gestures, sounds, and hands-on actions. This was intentional teaching, an experienced individual actively adjusting the behavior of the inexperienced to pass on a complex skill. This process marked the beginning of knowledge transmission across generations, the earliest foundation of culture. They did not yet have complex language, but could produce repetitive sounds, use gestures and eye contact to instruct. Learning behavior was not just instinctive imitation, but conscious teaching. Through learning and teaching, Homo habilis grew wiser. In the wild, this wisdom showed most in stalking and waiting. The Old Stone Age African ecosystem. Homo habilis was not a top predator. Small in stature, they were both hunters of small animals and prey for large predators like lions or hyenas. Their place in the food chain was that of an opportunist, a scavenging specialist. Patience and silent group coordination were crucial survival skills. These required controlling instinct, interpreting animal behavior, and using effective non-verbal communication to signal each other without noise. Only when lions or hyenas left their feast did Homo habilis dare approach. This strategy was both dangerous and clever. It supplemented their diet with nutrient-rich animal meat. Those scavengers and patience and the ability to exploit carcasses helped nourish their growing intelligence. Not only patient, Homo habilis used tools for something more important: extracting food thoroughly. A sharp flake in hand opened up a new source of nutrition, a decisive evolutionary advantage. While large predators could only tear chunks of meat with teeth and claws, Homo habilis, with tools, could cut through thick hides to reach leftover meat. More importantly, heavy cobbles allowed them to do something no other animal could: break open bones for marrow. Bone marrow was an extremely energy-dense source, rich in fat and calories. This high-quality food fueled their increasingly large and complex brains, an organ consuming up to 20% of the body's energy. Stone tools were not just objects, but keys unlocking intellectual potential. But food created another problem. Sharing or competing for it often led to conflicts. Growls, threats, and displays of strength emerged to impose order. Often, a dominant individual, stronger or more experienced, stepped in to suppress disputes. This was the seed of a hierarchical community structure. Each individual had to accept their role in exchange for the group's protection. This increased survival chances in a dangerous environment. Resolving internal conflict was vital, as unity was the key to facing predators in harsh conditions. Scavenged meat was not always reliable. Survival required a flexible diet. Homo habilis discovered that tools could dig tubers and roots, expanding food sources. This showed flexible thinking: one tool, many uses. Not just copying passively, they observed, experimented, and learned. Realizing that a sharp flake could dig soil as well as cut meat was a breakthrough in tool thinking. They knew how to apply an old trick to new situations. Roots and tubers, or underground storage organs, provided abundant carbohydrates. Exploiting this resource helped groups survive meat shortages, ensuring nutritional stability. This may also mark the beginning of primitive labor division by gender females.
Maybe over here.
Often occupied with childcare and less involved in dangerous scavenging, could have become the main stable food providers for the group. Despite their skills, Homo habilis still faced many dangers. Predators like giant crocodiles imposed brutal natural selection. Crocodiles, leopards, hyenas, and lions were deadly threats. Surrounded by enemies, Homo habilis developed vigilance, quick reflexes, and reliance on the group. These instincts imprinted deeply in evolution, forging stronger social bonds. Those lacking speed, awareness, or instant reaction could not survive. Sudden attacks forced the group into split-second decisions: run across ground, climb trees, or seek rocky outcrops. The variety of responses reflected flexible thinking, and climbing remained an essential skill for life on the ground. Night belonged to predators. For diurnal primates like Homo habilis, darkness brought danger. Finding safe shelters, caves or rock crevices was a top priority at dusk. Huddling together not only conserved warmth, but also provided collective defense and strengthened bonds. Their hands still gripped sharp flakes even at rest, showing deep attachment to. Tools were no longer inanimate objects, but extensions of the body, symbols of intelligence and survival, the fragile line between life and death. Yet this was also the limit of Homo habilis. Tools helped them survive, but only to defend, not yet to master their world. As time passed, harsher challenges arose. A new figure emerged, taller, stronger, more calculating. This was Homo Erectus, upright man, who would open an entirely new era. Around 1.9 million years ago, Homo Erectus appeared. With their upright posture, standing 1.5 to 1.8 meters tall. They contrasted sharply with the small, stooped Homo habilis. With Erectus, human evolution entered a new chapter. Unlike crude Oldowan tools, Homo Erectus developed the Acheulean tradition. Characterized by teardrop-shaped hand axes, flaked symmetrically on both sides, with sharp and regular edges. This showed they no longer struck stones randomly. They had early geometric thinking, planning multiple steps to achieve desired shapes. The Acheulean axe was versatile, cutting wood, butchering meat, splitting bones, digging for roots. It became the iconic tool of Homo erectus, enduring for millions of years and spreading across Africa, Asia, and Europe. The body of Homo erectus was adapted for long-distance travel. Long legs, narrow hips, and developed gluteal muscles stabilized the body while running. Importantly, they lost thick body hair and developed sweat glands, a vital adaptation for running under heat. Sweating let them cool efficiently, unlike most animals. This enabled persistence hunting, chasing prey until exhaustion. Instead of only scavenging or stealing, Erectus became active hunters, gaining abundant meat. Perhaps their greatest leap was not strength, but mastering fire, a force of destruction and renewal. Earlier species may have opportunistically used natural fire, but Homo erectus were the first to control and maintain it. At first, they only used fire from lightning or wildfires. Over time, they learned to preserve embers, shield flames, and carry fire with the group. Fire drove away predators, gave warmth, and opened the possibility of cooking. Cooked meat was easier to chew, killed parasites, and released more energy. Digestive systems shrank, while brains grew. Fire reshaped both body and biology. Nights by the fire created a new space groups gathered, shared food, communicated with eyes, sounds, and gestures. This may have been the dawn of symbolic culture, with carvings or early memories formed around the fire. controlling fire did not mean creating it. Hundreds of thousands of years to Homo Erectus could only maintain natural fire. And keeping it alive was a life or death duty, a sacred group responsibility. Fire had to be guarded from rain, wind, or extinction. This task highlighted fire's supreme importance and advanced cooperation. The group worked together to protect and rekindle the last embers. Fire was not just a tool, but the heart of community life. Fire extended the day. Instead of huddling in darkness, the group had extra time for community life. Tool making, and most importantly, cooking. This improved diet provided more energy for brain growth and reduced pressure on digestion, leading to smaller teeth and intestines. The circle of warmth and light became the center of community, strengthening bonds and sharing experiences. Their intelligence also appeared in carved marks. These were intentional, patterned incisions with no immediate practical use. They were the earliest signs of symbolic thought, using objects or signs to represent ideas. not yet writing, but perhaps for counting, marking events, or recording hunts. Whatever their meaning, the marks showed minds reflecting on past and future. Seeds of writing and some art is in history. With better tools, stronger bodies, and fire mastery, Homo erectus evolved from opportunistic scavengers into true hunters. Their hunts revealed planning, coordination, and communication. They used landscapes like canyons as part of strategy. Some groups drove prey with fire and shouts, while others ambushed. This required clear role division and shared understanding of complex plans, implying more advanced communication, perhaps a primitive language. Homo erectus were the first to leave Africa. Moving into West Asia, Southeast Asia, China, and Europe. They carried Acheulean axes and fire, leaving footprints across distant lands. Each new land tested their adaptability. Migration forced them to face new climates, animals, and foods. Life was no longer bound to one place, but spread across Earth. After Homo erectus spread across continents, evolution advanced again. Around 700,000 years ago, a larger, smarter species appeared, Homo Heidelbergensis. Standing 1.6–1.8 meters tall, muscular, adapted to hunt big game and endure cold. Their brain volume averaged 1,100 to 1,300 cubic centimeters. They mastered not only stone, but organic materials like wood. Crafting a hunting spear required knowledge of wood, choosing the straightest, strongest branches. Fire-hardened spear tips showed an understanding of altering material properties. Unlike multi-purpose axes, piazzas allowed safe distance attacks, enabling big game hunting. This reflected technical thinking, selecting materials, shaping, treating, a mastery beyond Homo Erectus. Though still with thick brows and low foreheads, their frontal brains were more developed, enabling planning, coordination, and symbolic thought.
Here.
They carried out large-scale hunts, herding mammoths or rhinoceroses into narrow terrain, then attacking with spears. Leaders conveyed spatial and temporal plans to others. Ground markings symbolized terrain and group positions. Using symbols to coordinate hunts showed shared cognition and a complex enough language for abstract ideas. No longer scavengers, Homo Heidelbergensis became Ice Age master hunters. This skill provided massive meat and fat, while shaping cooperation and leadership. These plans led to spectacular hunts. Facing giants like mammoths. Such hunts tested not just strength, but cooperation. No single individual could defeat such beasts. Success required courage, trust, and flawless planning. Victories brought weeks of food, reinforced group structure, highlighting skilled hunters and complex sharing rules. They no longer relied only on natural shelters. They built frames from wood, covered with hides. Reinforced with stones, primitive huts. Not just windbreaks, but reflections of thought choosing sites, materials, arranging space for groups. This was the notion of home, a central base for organizing hunts and gathering, a major step in shaping their environment. Using natural pigments like ochre marked a new path of cognition. Red ochre had no survival use. Gathering some, processing it, and applying it showed symbolic and aesthetic thought. Painted bodies, rocks, and left red handprints on cave walls, perhaps marking territory or events. Whatever the purpose, deliberate use of color revealed rich inner worlds, concerned beyond material needs. This was the dawn of art and belief, signs of deeper abstract thought. Alongside creativity, Homo Heidelbergensis showed empathy, caring for the injured, sharing food, providing water, protecting the sick. This reflected complex emotions, empathy, altruism, responsibility. A community based not just on strength, but on compassion and cooperation. A hallmark of humanity. With death, Homo Heidelbergensis showed recognition. They placed bodies with tools and ochre in rock shelters. Not full burials, but the beginnings of funerary rites. This reflected awareness of death, a major leap in symbolic thought. They tied themselves to collective memory, tradition, and beliefs beyond individual life. They stepped beyond instinct to question themselves and the world. Red-painted hands pressed onto cave walls were more than stains. They were marks of existence. This was a historic moment, a promise of future cave art, civilizations, and the long journey of human creativity. A legacy carried forward by two descendants, the Neanderthals and us, Homo sapiens.